So we will go ahead and get started. And I do want to welcome everybody to the June 15th meeting of the Airport Authority. And everybody is enjoying all this heat. It's terrible when the inside of the house with the air running is still hot. So anyway, but we'll go ahead and get started here. And I'll have the invocation. Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you, Lord, for the beautiful day you provided us. Thank you, Lord, for the folks that are here. Be with the ones that are not here for a reason, and maybe traveling or whatever, but we ask you to be with them and their families. Lord, we ask you now that you put your blessings upon this meeting and the activities that are performed here, and we ask you to be with us each and every day. We ask these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen. Okay. All of you have the packet is in front of you, and it was also provided to you of our minutes and other information from our last meeting. So at this time, I'll ask the approval of the minutes. If y'all have a chance to look at them, and I'll ask for approval. So moved. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Hearing none, the minutes of the May 18th meeting are approved. Okay, now the financial statements, they were provided to you. Hope you had a chance to look at those. And so with that, I'll ask for approval of that. Any comments about it? Have approval? All right, we have a motion there. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any other comments or any other thing we need to say about it? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Hearing none, the approval of the financial statements has been approved. Okay, now, the Airport Director's Authority report. Terry, move to you.
Been another very productive, busy month for us. I'll try to highlight the noteworthy items, most of which you, at least some of you, probably all of you know about. We did have a very successful inaugural conference of the Association of General Aviation Airports, Georgia General Aviation Airports. David Small was able to attend one day. We appreciate that, David. On the final day, we had a legislative update, and we had 4 sitting representatives, state representatives, 1 sitting state senator, and retired Senator Heath were all in attendance, as well as the lobbyists for the organization. Just very productive. We had half a dozen folks there from GDOT that stayed for the entire conference. So there was good interaction between them, the state delegation, the various airport directors from around the state who were there. Over 125 people attended, so we marked that down as a very, very successful start to this very important organization. And then, gosh, I guess it was last week now, we had the Chamber of Commerce fly into DC. That was the first time that I'd had an opportunity to actually attend that. It's something the Chamber does every year. And Chairman Carmichael was there, as well as several delegates from across the county. I guess we have 11 total, 12 total. Very good interactions with our 2 state senators and our local state rep, or federal rep, Washington, D.C. rep. And all of them have legislative assistants, staff members who are divided up into various areas. Some of them are focused on medical issues and some on other things, but they each had a transportation person who follows legislation through the entire process, as it, from origin to signing. And they have now all reached out to me and said they wanted to know more about general aviation in Georgia, which is great. It gives us a good time. And so I thank you for hosting that, setting that up, for the members' work on making that happen, and for y'all allowing me to go and be a part of that. So just a very good thing. Av West is in the process of moving in. We've talked about this for a couple of months now. That's the avionics shop that up until this month was located at McCollum. Today they're located here at the Paulding County Airport, so that's yet another business that has moved to Paulding County Airport to add to our growing family of businesses out here. I think that brings to 13 the number of businesses that have a footprint here. None of them are large yet. They're mostly mom and pop operations, but these are all successful businesses that we hope will grow to be much larger in the years to come. Adwest brings, I think, a total population of 4. It's Doug Wilbur is the owner. His son Nick is more or less taking over the company as Doug approaches some of our ages that are sitting around the room here today. And Mick is a much younger gentleman who's been in business now for probably 20 years himself. And so we're just excited to see Adwest become a tenant here at Paulding County Airport and contributors to the local economy of Paulding County. The FY22 grant, approximately $1 million in total funding. For that, we are in the final throes of getting all of the contracts signed. The last step before construction is a notice to proceed that will come to us from GDOT. I anticipate that probably within the next week to 10 days. And as soon as that happens, then we can go ahead and mobilize and we'll see the construction, primarily 2 taxiways on either side of the north ramp over here to our west of this building. And that will allow for the pad-ready generation of sites for future hangar buildings. So that's a big deal for us. The sewer connection project to connect airport sewage to the city of Dallas went to bid Monday. So those bids will open on July 13th. So we're excited about finally getting that project moving forward. Everything seems to be in place. We advertise all of our bids, of course, on DOAS. That's the Georgia procurement website. And they give you a little statistic every time you post a procurement bid announcement on that website. The poster will get an email response back that says, your bid has been automatically transferred to X number of companies. And you can imagine there are a lot of companies out there that do utility work in Georgia, sewer work. Went 500 and something companies. Now all of those obviously won't bid, but it has certainly received some good publicity out there. So I'm hopeful that we'll get a very aggressive bid, and we will know on July 13th. So good news there. The Technical College System of Georgia has ordered their construction trailers. That'll be the first visible sign of construction taking place here. And we expected them actually to be here last week. So they're in the any day now status. And those trailers are going to go at the base of the hill on the left-hand side of Airport Parkway as you come down. They were going to put them actually on their site, but they were going to be in the way of construction. So we worked out a deal where they're going to put them actually on airport property right there just off of the roadway. So they're completely out of the way, and they just have to step across the street to be on site to their construction site. That's going to work out much better for them. And so probably by the time we have our next meeting, we should see dirt flying and progress being made. And after, what's it been now, 3 or 4 years, I guess, since the original announcement by Governor Deal that this was going to happen. And there's been a lot of doubt along the way by a lot of people of, will this ever really come to pass? It's a $35 million project. It will be one of the largest construction projects actively going on in Paulding County today. So just a very big deal for this airport and for this community and for the educational opportunity of young men and women in this community. I think I mentioned last week, I'll mention it again, that we have 2 or 3 students that carpool from here to Rome. They park their cars in the parking lot, and just coincidentally, because we're one of the last stops along the way as you're going out of Paulding County to the west. And they contacted us a couple of months ago and said, hey, would it be okay if we park our cars there during the day and carpool to Rome, because they're AMP students, and of course, we're going to support that. But it will be so nice when they don't have to carpool to Rome, they can carpool right across the street. And so they will be, probably in about 18 to 24 months, we will see that, that school opening up. And we're just real excited to be partnered with Technical College System of Georgia to bring this much-needed new training facility to the state. I mentioned this when we were in Washington, so Stacy's heard it before. If y'all were watching the news over the Memorial Day weekend, you heard that there were 2,500 flights canceled. These are ticketed airline flights that were canceled over Memorial Day weekend. Now, the airlines want you to believe that it's all the fault of weather, air traffic control, congestion, those kinds of things, because their statistics look better if flights are canceled due to weather than being canceled due to lack of crews. But one of the main reasons why 2,500 flights were canceled over the Memorial Day weekend is because they have insufficient pilots and mechanics to keep the planes flying right now during peak times. And this is going to get worse. The demographics and the professional ranks at all trades, this isn't just pilots, it's air traffic controllers, it's flight attendants, it's mechanics, security, all of the professionals that it takes to keep the aviation operating in the United States is suffering demographic issues in our workforce. And Paulding County is going to be a key player in that as we go forward, both from flight training and maintenance training. So we're just real excited to be at the tip of the spear on that. Any questions? Yes, sir.
On that subject, do we have a way, or the county have a way? I guess what I want to do is promote this. I want to, from groundbreaking through, I want to promote it and get the word out there. You mentioned that a lot of people didn't think it ever happened and things like this. Is there a way to get this out, whether there's a local newspaper or a website or something like that that can let people know what's going on and why?
Yeah, so it's been the subject of a lot of articles in the Dallas New Era and in the local Atlanta paper. We have to remember that this is not our project, it's the Technical College System of Georgia, so there's only really so much that we can do without overstepping our bounds and getting into their business. But we did invite all of the Washington folks to come down for the groundbreaking, and one or two of them said, let me know when the date gets set, I'd like to be there. And so I think we will see some Washington, don't you?
I do too. The Chamber's also been in contact with Chef Tech to do groundbreaking, ribbon cuttings, any and all promotion for the school.
Yeah, Chattahoochee Tech's a very active member of the Chamber of Commerce. They're a very active member of the educational community in Paulding County, both the public school level and the secondary school level. I think as we see tangible evidence that things are happening, it's hard to get people excited about a bunch of engineers sitting around a drafting table. Okay, we get excited about it, the engineers do, but until you actually see that translating into dirt moving on the outside and tangible things that you can touch and feel and see, it's really hard for people to believe it's real. Unfortunately, the design and engineering of a project this size is a multi-year long process. Croft, who is a local architectural firm, Joan Croft's company, was the designer of this project. Roy, which is another, not Paulding County company, but certainly a very local company in this region, was the primary engineering firm for this project. There have been millions of dollars spent on architectural design and engineering design to get us to the point where we are right now. But we're all excited to see it finally going vertical. So yes, there will be lots of opportunities for publicity as we move forward, and we will assist Chattahoochee Tech in making sure that word gets out.
Well, the school has already got a presence here, so I would think that everything would be positive toward them. They would want to get this out. The students that would attend, you're right. They don't care about the preliminary work getting to that point.
Right.
But these high school students that are sitting there now in the 9th and 10th grade, they need something being put in front of them
Mhm.
to where they say, hey, when I get out, this is gonna be ready.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity.
And your career academy in New Hope is one of the primary ways that that's happening. And they're plugged in very tightly to Chattahoochee Tech. So once they announce a date certain on when they plan to start admitting students, you'll see a lot more activity, I think, at the school, high school level of trying to get kids on that track. Now, we work that every day. You know, we start with the daycares. We got a daycare tour, is it next week or the week after? Next week. So, you know, we encourage the daycares to bring the little kids out here and to see the airplanes. Because if you can get them addicted at 5 years old, you got them for life. You know, that's how many of us who have spent a career in and around aviation. You know, it didn't start when we were in high school. It started when a parent or an aunt or an uncle or a cousin or somebody took us to an airport and we got to see airplanes and we got bit by the bug. And we work that every day. We are going to be hosting STEM again this year in the fall, September 9th. Is that the date? September 9th is the high school STEM event. Chattahoochee Tech almost always participates in that. That's a great opportunity for them to have a booth and provide information about the coming school. And at that time, all of your STEM students who participate in that program will be here on site, and they'll have to drive right past that construction zone, and that'll generate a buzz. So the time is right now for exactly what you're talking about. And it's not that we haven't been trying to get the word out, it's just that it's hard to get people excited again about a bunch of drawings. Now is the time to really start pushing this, because we've still got a couple of years before the doors open.
Sheriff,
Yes, sir.
do you have an approximate date for the groundbreaking? And I have another comment I want to make too.
August is, sometime in August is what I've heard as an approximate time. I would prefer to see it the day the trailers come out. Here's another thing you have to understand about this process. It's actually not Chattahoochee Tech that's building the building. It's actually the real estate division of state government, okay? They don't care nothing about publicity, all right? They're all about the business of getting this project done on time, on schedule, and then they move off to the next project. So Chattahoochee Tech will be the receiving entity for the building, but it's actually a completely different agency in the state that is responsible for the purchase of the property, the building of the building, you know, all of those things. So there's just a lot of moving parts and a lot of people at play. Some are more interested in publicity than others.
Okay, the next part of this, when we know the date, when this happens, I suggest you talk with Michael and get something on our website about this, because this will reach a lot of people all over the country. It's going into the EDO website. If they're looking to come here to buy property and have some type of business, I think it'd be another really good way to publicize what's going on.
Yeah, it could be.
Wouldn't be joined in.
Right, so from an economic development standpoint, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's understand that the closest A&P schools that have a full A&P program to this one are either in Macon or Rome. We are going to be the Atlanta Metropolitan A&P School. The Atlanta Technical College has a airframe program right now. They're trying to get their power plant reinstated. They have struggled over the years with their program, and at various times they're fully certified, and sometimes they're not. But I don't count them as a full A&P program in metropolitan Atlanta. This is it. If you want to come to Atlanta and become an aircraft mechanic in a 4-year collegiate program, this is the campus you're going to come to. So absolutely, companies who are looking to expand in aviation, they want to be close to that source of potential employees. So that is going to change the map completely for Paulding County from an economic development standpoint. So yes, totally agree. And Michael's plugged in. Michael was with us on the trip. He and I have talked frequently and in depth about what this means for the county. So yes, it of course will have to be something that's integral to what's going on with economic development in Albany County. Anything else?
On the flight instruction, I know we have the maintenance on the flight instruction. How are the flight schools doing? Are they building or are they?
They're doing very good. We now have 5 airplanes. They are now our #1 purchaser of 100 low lead fuel, which is good. They're, Yolanda, you told me the statistic on that. I think it was 1,000 gallons a month that Tom Moffitt's buying, something on that order. Yeah, so yeah, they're regularly graduating students. We just hired a young man as a part-time lineman who just did his check ride. He was flying with Flying Tigers with the older of the 2 schools. And now he's going to be working Saturdays for us as our weekend lineman. Y'all know that we lost Matthew. Matthew was our weekend lineman, and he's going off to Middle Georgia State University to get his pilot's license and a 4-year degree down there. And I have made no secret, I've been very open, frank, and vocal about we are trying to attract a Atlanta campus of the Middle Georgia State University here. And we are actively lobbying to try to make that happen. I mean, nothing that we can announce yet, but just looking so positive for us to become a collegiate aviation training, flight training facility to go along with our A&P program. And should that happen, that will put us in a very unique position. There are very, very few, in fact, I can't think of another one. Well, Eastman, of course, where Middle Georgia State University is located, has both A&P and flight training on site at an airport, but that's a very rare commodity. So for us to have both and be the only programs of that type here in metropolitan Atlanta, again, it changes the map for us completely, looking 10 years out into the future. So that's kind of my main focus that I'm working on every day, is making this an educational center for aviation excellence for this nation into the next decade.
What are the schools that are currently here?
So we've got Flying Tigers and Bowiki. Bowiki is the school from Kissimmee, Florida,
Yeah.
and they're very successful down there. They only have 1 plane here so far. They're just getting started here, but they're the high wing specialists. They fly Cessna 172s, and Flying Tigers are the low wing specialists. They fly Grumman Tigers, or Grumman Yankees actually. But so depending on what your objectives are, how you want to train, what kind of airplanes. It's a Ford Chevy argument. You know, there's not really that one is better than the other. Some people drive Fords, some people drive Chevys, and you know, it's just a matter of personal preference. And that's how I see the 2 schools that we have. And so they're not at all incompatible. It's not that, even though they are in competition for the same students, they each have their niche market that they're going after, and I believe they're both going to be successful.
By the way, is it Beaky or Bowie?
Bowiki,
Bowiki.
how they pronounce it.
Okay. Go on their website and they refer everything down Kissimmee. They need to get a telephone number up here.
They're working on that. They're still very new
Yeah.
up here. They don't have a full-time presence here. That's why they refer all of the numbers down there. They don't have an admin that's sitting at a desk to answer a phone. So they'll take the call down there, and then they'll contact the instructors and have them get in touch with the
Yeah, I
students.
did notice they're advertising for flight instructors.
Mhm. Yeah, both. Everybody needs flight instructors. I mean, that's, and kind of the business model is that a lot of these flight schools graduate students and get them to flight instruction status, and then they hire them as flight instructors.
Yeah.
So you have to be around for a few years before you've got some students that rise to that level, and then it becomes self-sustaining. Flying Tigers have been here long enough, they're getting pretty close to that. So I don't think they have yet hired a student a former student as an instructor, but they're beginning to get a population of students out there that they could do that in the next couple of years.
So nobody's got multi yet.
Nobody's got multi yet, but Wiki does down in Kissimmee. So right now, if they had a multi-student, they would either bring the plane up here, or one of their planes up here for that training, or take the student down there, one or the other. Their intention is to have multi-training here. And they're a certified school down there, where Blind Tigers probably will always be a Part 91 school, but Wiki is more geared toward, is it 141?
141 and 61.
61, okay. So 141
More structured.
is a more structured program, and Wiki is in that market in Kissimmee, and that's what they intend to bring here.
141 is an approved FAA flight school, and they can get by with a different set of hours that you have
Less
to
hours,
get.
yeah. And incidentally, just because we care now that we're going to be the location of an A&P school, the FAA has just published their new guidelines for A&P schools, and they've de-emphasized some of the classic training, like dope and fabric. There just aren't a whole lot of dope and fabric airplanes. You know, back 100 years ago, that was the only kind of airplane you had. Basically, they're cloth wing airplanes, and so every A&P mechanic had to be certified in sewing and, you know, all of these things that have to do with fabric. I had to do that when I went through Clayton State. I tried not to let my wife know that I was a certified seamstress. But you are as an A&P mechanic. And so, since there's not that much need for that in modern day programs, you still have some introductory classes in it, just mainly for history purposes. Welding is another trade that is not needed to the same degree that it was 30 or 40 years ago. So welding and dope and fabric and a few other topics have been de-emphasized, and modern technology like modern avionics and GPS and these kind of things is being emphasized. So this school that's going to be stood up is going to be one of the first schools in the nation that starts from scratch with that new certified curriculum. So that'll be interesting to see how hard or how easy that is. One final thing, I know this is running long, but one final thing that you need to know about certifications and FAA and how we interact with them and so forth. Our AvWest that's coming here is a certified repair station. Those of you in aviation, y'all know what that means. And the FAA has to approve the move. And in years past, 20, 30, 40 years ago, the FAA was seen kind of as the demon. You know, if you had to go get something out of the FAA, a lot of times that was a very, very difficult thing. The FAA is working very closely with Doug to make this move as smooth as possible, because the FAA realizes they can't afford to lose another avionics program, a certified repair station, out of the Atlanta market, because there are precious few remaining. So again, it's not just pilots and mechanics and so forth, it is every aspect of aviation. And the FAA now realizes that they've got to be more of a partner in all of these certification processes than the enforcer that they used to be in years past. Anything else from me?
Let me ask a question. The conference you went to up in Lanier,
Yes.
so that was the inaugural conference for the new association and everything. What was the gist of it? I mean, was there a focus, whether it's from the state representative folks from the state level or the association level? Was there?
Yeah, the focus from the association level was training. So we're primarily interested in providing training primarily to airport directors. So this is, in effect, the association for assisting airport directors and other people who are in the business of running airports and having resources and training available to them so that they can stand up quicker in the process of becoming an expert at running an airport. Because there are a lot of unique things about managing an airport, that even if you, like, I had been in aviation all my life, but I hadn't run an airport before I ran this one. So I was very familiar with the FAA and the regulations and grants and you know, all of that sort of thing. But the specific rules of running an airport and the things, the grant assurances and all of that sort of thing are unique to airports. And so we're trying to provide that missing link so that a brand new greenhorn in this business has a good, strong industry group behind them that they can go to for assistance when needed.
All right.
All right?
All right. Anything else?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Terry. Okay, Christine, I see you back there. You got some comments on the museum? No
Not
comment?
really. We do have I'm excited, we are starting to put together an event for October. Tickets should be on sale in July 5th, Yolanda. And it is a murder mystery dinner based on an aviation story. We're gonna have it right here.
Do we know who gets killed yet?
You,
Oh, okay.
I don't know. No.
Get your house in order.
That's right.
All right, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is to entertain a motion to approve the construction easement to the Chattahoochee Technical College for construction of the Aviation Academy. Terry, you want to talk about that?
Mainly just to answer any questions, has everybody now received a copy of it? Okay, good. Because for whatever reason, I had some email issues that I don't think went out the first time I sent it. But what we did is we started with about, I don't know, half a dozen or so points that the school wanted to put in. And then I wanted to put in about 10 more that protected the airport. And so there was some negotiation back and forth that occurred primarily over last week and the latter part of the week before. And I am now very happy with what we've got in here. If you read it in detail, you see that there's a lot of technicalities like how they have to provide and recertify the fire protection for Hangar 1, because they're going to be digging into that 12-inch water line and relocating it. And you remember that several years ago we had to rebuild that water pump because it had some construction debris that migrated into the impeller of that $100,000 pump. And we have to pull the pumps in off the rebuilding and all of those kind of things. And so we put in requirements that the line has to be flushed and the pump has to be recertified by a fire protection specialist. Our contractor that we use is ASA. We're suggesting that they use them. Of course, they could use any certified supplier for that service. But there's a lot of that kind of flavor in this easement, which is a little unusual, but it's because we are an airport and we do have some special requirements that I felt needed to be locked down in the actual easement between us and them, because all of these notes and requirements and everything, we had gotten into the design side. So when you go look at the design documents, it says all of these things, but that wasn't making it to the easement level, which is the contractual document between us and the state. So that's why the process took a little bit longer, it was a little more complicated than a standard easement. Any questions about anything that you see in that document? Tom, or you?
No, I was fine with it. It's the most factually specific easement I've ever seen. It's fine. Legally, it's fine.
I've been trained by some of the best lawyers in the state.
Okay, any comments, any questions about that? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the construction easement for the Chattahoochee Technical College for the construction of the Aviation Academy. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second, we have a motion, and we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Okay, now, next on the agenda, item number 8 is to, we need a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing real estate and litigation. Do we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Hearing none, we are in closed session, and we will be back shortly. Okay, I will call the meeting back to order. We did have one bit of of business, and that was to approve the minutes from our last meeting. So with that, we are now back in session here, and the next item is comments and/or questions. Do we have any comments or questions? You have a question?
No, I have a comment.
You go ahead. We don't have
I
that.
just got an email from GDOT. Helix has met all the insurance requirements, executed contract is forthcoming. That means we'll get our notice to proceed probably in the next 48 hours. So,
That is good.
newsworthy item.
Has that company, Helix, have they done work out this way before?
They've not done work for us, they've done work out this way, but they're, I think, a Douglasville company, so they are local. Just not.
I just want to see new blood.
Yeah, they're new blood for
I
us,
want to
for sure.
see more interest. All right, any other comments or questions? Okay, with that, we need a motion for adjournment. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Hearing none, we are adjourned, and y'all have a great coming week. Stay